I mean, this is my Daz. It fucking stinks.
You laughing at Kieran? Just there you go.
And man, the big sweaty bastard. His
dad's beetle, man.
Fucking run your dad's clothes, mate, what you like. Hello there, and welcome to the BSR Sports Podcast from the fans, for the fans. Today, I'm joined by our usual guests, Liam Murphy, Kieran Auld, and Patrick Leonard. Welcome, boys. How we doing?
Doing alright, doing alright.
So, as we all know this week, massive game, Scotland's biggest game in over 20 years. It's going to be crucial, isn't it? And today, we'll be giving you a Scottish edition for the podcast. So, massive game, Serbia. How are we feeling, boys? What are we thinking? We'll start with you, Kieran.
I mean, the importance of a game like this just can't be lost on anyone in the country. Like, honestly, it's as you said, it's the biggest game in over 20 years for Scotland. And I mean, I've seen some relatively big games for Scotland, but nothing compares to this. I mean, the players must be absolutely buzzing at the prospect of taking Scotland to their first major tournament since 1998. I mean, you just need to hope that we turn up on the day and do our jobs, but it's going to be a tough ask. It really will be.
It'll be better this time because we've not really got Craig Levein in charge, and hopefully we'll get onto lineups in a wee bit. But obviously, we won't have hopefully not have zero up front for the crucial game. So it's looking positive, very, very positive. We'll speak about the last couple of games for Scotland first of all. Israel game, what did you think? Obviously relating to that, we qualified for this game from the Israel game. What did you think, Paddy? Were you impressed?
A win's a win. Like you see in like our last few games, like this is my only worry about the Serbia game, that we've not been a team who scores a lot. So it's just like Israel 1-0, we had the draw with. Israel 1 each. Bet Czech Republic away 2-1. Bet Slovakia 1-0. So hardly any goals, and we just need to, I think Steve Clark needs to field a team who are just going to be direct and just firing shots, because that's what we need.
That's the way Steve Clark's been. We come on it, but like we all know it. You two being Celtic fans, you'll definitely know. Steve Clark's got to sit back with, and he'll take advantage of the chances. And I think Lyndon Dykes has been very good at that. He has. And I've said it before in the previous podcast, and I'll say it again. I'm very impressed with him. He's proved me and a lot of doubters wrong. Hopefully he can do the exact same this week. So squad selection. Craig Gordon in. Kevin Nisbet out. And Hanley and Fraser are out injured. What's your thoughts on that, Liam?
Well, Craig Gordon obviously would be the main talking point, but obviously we've got to talk about Lee Griffiths' involvement as well. I mean, the first time in a long time, him being involved in the squad will be a huge boost to, I believe, everyone involved. Whether he starts or not remains up in the air. But to have him in the squad, even to have him off the bench, even if we're absolutely desperate for a goal with half an hour to go, we know that we can rely on someone like Lee Griffiths, as he's proved with Celtic maybe recently, that he can have an impact off the bench. With the likes of Gordon as well, I found it a bit strange to add Gordon, because I don't see him probably starting this game. I'd still probably go with David Marshall. But have Craig Gordon in the side, I think it's just like a appraisal to how he's done at club level.
It's remarkable. You don't know how Craig Gordon is. He has obviously made some crucial mistakes for you in big games, but overall, Craig Gordon's a fantastic keeper. You talk about, I probably know what you're going to say here, Kieran, his save against Hibs in the semi-final. Oh my goodness, I think that save alone just gave him the chance. I think save alone merits
probably one of the best shot stoppers I've seen anyway, but I mean, obviously a lot of it does get sort of overshadowed by some of the more high profile mistakes he made during his Celtic career, but you can never take it away from the man. Some of the saves he pulled off are ridiculous, but I mean, I'm glad to see him doing well and actually getting played, because it was wasted just sitting on Celtic's reserves or on the bench last season. So Nice to see.
His save against Hibs, if anybody's seen that, oh my goodness. Just, it was a ball into, well, we'll speak about him in a wee second. He's not been picked for the Scotland squad, Kevin Nisbet. That's just a big decision. Ball into Kevin Nisbet. Kevin Nisbet gets to the ball, headers it down, and everybody's thinking goal. And out of nowhere, Gordon gets down, gets a left hand, and he doesn't even save it. He claws it out. See, watching it live, I couldn't believe it. So I think that save alone merits it. We've seen him play for Scotland before, and I don't think he's done bad for Scotland at all. Maybe for Celtic he's made some crucial mistakes, but for Scotland he's done decent.
The difference.
On the go-
No, I'm just going to say the difference, but between, like, especially under a Steve Clark squad, is like playing it for the back. Obviously, was a major thing under Brendan Rodgers, especially. Like, and obviously he brought in Doris de Vries to try and take Gordon out of the team because he didn't think he was good for his feet. But he obviously made up for it in other areas. That's shown.
Personally, I would say David Marshall's rivals above him, but David Marshall's been remarkable for Scotland. We've seen the penalty shootout. He single-handedly won that game for us. He made a wonder save during the game, as we've seen time and time again. And then the penalty shootout. I've never been so confident getting into a penalty shootout in my life, being a Partick Thistle fan, obviously, right? So, but see, getting into that penalty shootout, I knew we were winning it. David Marshall, he just looked amazing that game, and he was well up for it. So it's good to see Craig Gordon getting put back into the squad. I think he'll add a bit of experience, an experienced head, and hopefully over time it will help. So, boys, have you got our potential lineups?
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a wee dilemma with Griffiths being in form. We'll speak about Griffiths first before your potential lineups. Kieran, Paddy, you've seen him in recent weeks. Came back from how long was it? 7-8 months out.
Mm-hmm.
He's been getting stick. Everybody thought his career was over. Had a wee blip with COVID. He's come on from night and day, hasn't he? Goal against Aberdeen, that was world class. And then he comes on and scores in Europe. What's your thoughts?
I think it's his. I'll go first, Kieran. I think it's
on you go.
The usual problem with Griffiths is his fitness and where his head's at. Because when he's on his day, he's the best. He's the best striker we've got for Scotland. And you've seen him recently coming off the bench. I think he'll be good at coming off the bench for us for Scotland. But what am I saying? I think he's brilliant. And he's very direct. He likes shooting for distance. He's good in a free kick, likes his free kicks. And coming off the
free
bench,
kick against England.
Oh, mate, don't remind me of that travesty against England. We were so close.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I really don't care about Charlie Mulgrew and Kane's goal. When I see they two goals alone, and the scenes in the stands from they two. Oh my goodness!
I just pretend the last couple of minutes never happened.
Aye, we'll pretend that didn't happen, but we'll stop the count there, right? As Trump says, but it's, oh my goodness, the way that's a technique you can't teach. That's just a natural technique, and the fact that he done it two times in a row,
absolute wonder.
Something like that could prove vital in another massive game this weekend. Scotland v England's a massive game. This game, the biggest game in 20 years, is far bigger. So Griffiths has got experience. Well, not. He's got experience.
I think he'll be best as an impact sub. I think we'll see Lyndon Dykes starting up front.
He's a big game player, but the problem is, would McBurney get a game? Because Steve Clark's been using him to hold the ball up in the last couple of minutes. What do you think about that? If Griffiths and Dykes are both in the squad, would they put Griffiths and Dykes both up front, and put McBurney on as a sub for one of them?
I mean, if it was down to me, I would start like a Dykes and Griffiths, but with Steve Clark's mindset, I just don't see him throwing Griffiths in. Obviously, he called him up, obviously, to have an impact in the squad. But I don't see Griffiths starting through Clark's mindset. His mindset will be that he wants him to make an impact off the bench, because obviously, like we've said, he's direct. Griffiths. He's got a great eye for goal. Got a great free kick on him, and his pace might go a bit unnoticed as well. I mean, he's not the slowest lad in the world. He is a relatively agile striker. I mean, I don't see him starting, but if it was up to me, I definitely probably would start him against Lyndon Dykes. I think Lyndon Dykes out of him and McBurney is the better option. I think that's maybe clear to see as well. But McBurney has his qualities as well. I mean, he's got a great physical presence. So is Dykes, to be fair. And one thing McBurney is good at is holding the ball up. He terrorised Liverpool at times as well when I watched him. He can hold up the ball really well against...
A physical striker.
Yeah, he is, definitely. And Dykes has got that good goal-scoring touch as well, but obviously it's not as good as Griffiths.
Yeah. McBurney annoys me, just see the way his socks are and the fact he doesn't pull them off. And obviously, we've seen his comments he made. Who was... Eh?
I think McBurney looks a bit like you.
Like me? Aye. Aye, okay. We've seen McBurney making the comments, was it to John Flett? That doesn't sit right with any of us, but I think in the last couple of games he's proved himself. He's got some Scotland fans back on his side, and hats off to him. He's putting in all the effort that we've asked of him, and from that, you can't ask for any more. So, potential lineups. We'll start with you, Liam.
Okay, I'll start with the formation I've gone with. I think Steve Clarke will go with the five at the back on Thursday, and I think he will go with the 5-3-2. I don't know what you all think, but I have gone with David Marshall over Craig Gordon in goal. I think this is just too big of a game, maybe making any risks. The whole team actually caused me problems. That's a good point to make. I mean, this is the first time in a long time where we can argue over the Scotland squad, but genuinely based on how good some players actually are. I mean, some positions I think are nailed on, like O'Donnell and Robertson, right wing back and left wing back. And I think Tierney will get thrown into the left centre back position. You can't leave the likes of Tierney. And I was torn between Considine and Declan Gallagher, but in the end I've actually gone with Declan Gallagher. And to finish off that partnership, I've gone with McTominay in the centre back position because I feel like he's another player who should be starting, but I don't see him getting in that midfield slot because we've actually got some really good quality in that midfield. And with my three-man midfield, again, some positions are shoo-ins, like John McGinn. I feel like he is guaranteed to start unless there's any fitness issues or anything, but I feel like he has to start. And I've gone with Ryan Christie as well, just mainly because I feel like he might be a bit of a Steve Clarke favourite and he doesn't seem to not start for Scotland. And then I was torn actually between Callum McGregor and Ryan Jack. But I've gone with, if I was to go with what I think Steve Clarke would go with, I would feel would probably go with Callum McGregor because you may think McGregor, obviously Jack's got a good pushing forward mentality, but I feel like McGregor is just a little bit better maybe going forward. Like McGregor can also do that holding position really well as well. And I've gone with a front two of Dykes and McBurney simply because I don't think it's quite right to start Griffiths.
Very interesting, very interesting. Kieran, what about you?
I mean, I feel like my team is much the same as Liam's. I mean, as I said, it's probably the first time where Steve Clarke's really had a good headache over the squad selection. Like, the players that he's got at his disposal. But, I mean, in previous years, you've looked at the Scotland squad and just thought, it's not going
Championship
to cut it.
Galore, isn't it?
But you can look at a team like this and have a bit of confidence. I mean, I've went for Marshall in goals as well. I think that's a dead cert. Then you've got the two wing backs is Robertson, O'Donnell, and then the back three took McTominay, Gallagher, and Tierney. Everybody, as long as they're fit, starts in that. But with the midfield, I think this is where a bit more confusion comes because obviously McGinn has a stick on to start. I think you get McGregor, even though I don't think McGregor's been at the top of his game for Celtic recently. But I mean, I agree with him. I still think he'll start. And then if they're playing a cam position, I'd probably say Christie playing further forward because he's got such good technique on the ball and that, and he's just got that moment of magic in him, like to turn the defence or anything. But then the thing that I don't know is Armstrong getting left out of the team because he's been doing well for Southampton recently, and I feel like he should maybe be a more shout. But the midfield's just too good, isn't it? Like, there's too many good options, but
Armstrong's on fire right now. He scored the winner at the weekend. Man of the match in that game. So Southampton, they were top for 2 days, weren't they, at the weekend? So can't count Armstrong out.
And then for the strikers, I've went just standard Dykes and McBurney, because as much as I'm glad Griffiths is in the squad, he's definitely not starting that game. As you have said already, I mean, he's the player. He knows what he's in that squad for, and he's there as the impact man. If we're chasing the game, or if we're looking for that late goal, he's the man to come on, and we can have faith in him actually being able to do it. So hopefully that's the case with that. But I think it's a strong squad anyway.
Paddy, we'll
I've gone for
finish off with you and then I'll do mine.
Right. I've gone for quite a defensive team. So
Yep.
I have to play 5 at the back and 4 in the midfield and 1 up top. So I think Marshall in goals, I think, over Gordon. I don't think we'll see Gordon start this game. Maybe the next Nations League game. But this one, I think David Marshall's just been in top form. I think we'll see Stephen O'Donnell. I think we'll see Scott McTominay come in at centre-back. Andy Considine. You've got Kieran Tierney back in the squad. You see Tierney playing the sort of wide centre-back for Arsenal. And then I think you'll have Andy Robertson just wider from Tierney. Then the midfield, you've got Ryan Christie and Ryan Fraser on either wings. John McGinn and Callum McGregor in the midfield, and Big Lyndon Dykes up top on his own. So quite a defensive.
Is Ryan Fraser's been
Withdrew from the squad.
Yeah, he withdrew from the squad, yeah.
Oh,
injury with Newcastle. So
I'll put in
who would you put in?
Stuart Armstrong. I think.
Stuart Armstrong on the wing.
Yeah.
He's
You
played
could
on the
probably
wing
put
for
Christie. You could probably put
Aye.
Christie out there as well if you had to.
Don't
You
make
really
it
had to, yeah.
fast as well. So
Aye, so have gone with you can't take out Marshall. Marshall's been probably Scotland's best player in the last couple of games. Barring maybe Lyndon Dykes and Ryan Fraser. At the back, I've gone with a very similar one. I've gone with 5 again. This time I'm going Tierney left centre back, Declan Gallagher in the middle, because I feel Declan Gallagher is captain for Motherwell. He is a leader. Even though he did get done. this one's for Jenna. Even though he did smash up a baseball bat. Even though he did get done for that, Declan Gallagher is a solid player. He's brilliant. And right centre back, I'm going to put in Considine. I thought Considine was remarkable in the last game. He's the centre back we've been needing. I think you've seen the game against Czech Republic. It was an absolute shambles, and we all know who was centre back in that game. Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay's not a centre back for me. He's too lackadaisical. He's not got the skill. He's not got the commitment for centre back. So Considine's everything we've been needing there, really. Left back, I've gone with Robertson, because Liam, you've been a Liverpool fan. You might say he's the best left back in the world. Other people might argue with you. I've gone with him, and being former Kilmarnock player with Steve Clarke, we all know Stephen O'Donnell's going to get put right back. So that's the way I'll probably go for that. Midfield, I've gone with John McGinn. He's been remarkable recently. Callum McGregor, he's not going to take Callum McGregor out of the squad. Callum McGregor's too high a level to be taken out of the squad, even though he isn't playing his best for Celtic. I think he's got too much experience playing with Scotland to be pulled out of that. So I would go Christie, McGregor, and then an informed Stuart Armstrong. And then I would put 2 up front. So I would go Dykes and Griffiths. Purely on the basis, I know Griffiths has only started 1 game, but when he's come on, he has been an impact sub. I think Scotland want to get a goal for the get-go, and if Griffiths pressing high, as we've heard Andy Halliday saying recently, there's one player you don't want to play against in Scotland, it's Lee Griffiths. He causes you all sorts of problems. When he's got that energy and he's on his game, he's unbeatable. He can't get anywhere near him, because he's got that pace, he's got that aggression about him, and he's got the quality as we've seen for Celtic even recently. I think he is up to match fitness now, so I think he's too big a player to leave out. So I put Dykes up there with Griffiths. Griffiths has got the experience, and Dykes has got the aggression that we need. So that's all I've put for that one.
Sorry, Blair. Sorry to interrupt you there, but back on the Griffiths debate. I mean, we mentioned it earlier with the England game. He will be one of those players who will thrive off the big occasion, and that's why I could see maybe he could start, because he was one of the players against Scotland who was driving and driving and driving. And if there's one player you need to drive you on, you would probably start Lee Griffiths, because he has that motivation. He knows what these big games mean. I know a lot of these other Scotland players played in that England game as well, but he was obviously our man in the match that day. And a player like him, to drive on, it can be huge for a game like this, and the motivation will be massive.
Aye, and what I missed out, was the reason I feel Griffiths will start is because he'll play, say, 70, 80 minutes, and then he'll bring McBurney on, they can put two up front, maybe, and then you have the long ball, and hopefully we're winning by that point, and then McBurney and London Dykes can hold the ball up. That's just my feeling, because you've seen him do that in previous games. What are you going to say, Kieran?
Nah, I just, as much as I'd like Griffiths to start, I mean, if he's not been starting the games for Celtic and that, I just don't see him actually getting into the starting 11. If he's fully fit in that, then I definitely start him. But it's just, I feel like Lee Griffiths bums it quite quick in games, especially if he's not at the start of his game. So I feel like having him just for that brief, even if it's half an hour at the end, like just to get on and get at the Serbia defenders, then I feel like that's probably our best way of utilising them in this game. But
I like the whole style of play when you play. So I've not predicted it in my lineup, but you've done it, Blair, where you've got Dykes and Griffiths playing with each other. So a big guy holding the ball up, winning headers, and Griffiths making runs in behind and whatnot and shooting for distance. I like that style. So I think they two can make a good partnership. So it'll be good. It'll be good to see what Steve Clarke does.
Aye, definitely. Serbia's recent run of form, it's not really been the best, has it? They've got a 2-each draw against Turkey. They've got a 1-0 defeat against Hungary, and then they obviously beat Norway. I think we're all expecting Norway to be in that final. You've got Erling Haaland, you've got Chips, Cheese and Pussy, Mohamed El Younussi on it, and that team, both of them on absolute fire now. So, do we take that as a positive getting into this game, the fact we've not got Norway?
I don't know, man. I think a lot of people were just overlooking Serbia before this happened. Like, we we don't want to have Norway if we get through. But I mean, I feel like everybody's just seen the big names of Haaland and Odegaard and that, and thought, oh no, I don't want to play the game. But they've completely disregarded who's in that Serbia team. Like, for example, Mitrovic, see his record, it is ridiculous for Serbia. He scored, what is it? It's 36 goals in 59 games or something. That is unreal for scoring for his country. Then you've got the big man, Milinkovic-Savic. You've got experienced Kolarov at the back. Like, I mean, they've got quality through it. It's not like, even if they might not be like superstars, they've still got enough quality to comfortably beat us. But hopefully we can just go out and see the performance of our lives to counteract it.
In the game against Norway, we've seen them line up in the exact same formation that we were talking about just there, at 3-5-2. So they've got Rakovic in goals. I've not heard of him. They've got Stefan Mitrovic. They've got Kolarov, who we all know. He might be old, but he's got that experience. He's got that aggression. Kolarov's a tank, so he will be good for them. There's a dispute whether 3 players won't be able to play, which is Milinkovic as well, who did play in the Norway game. He plays for Fiorentina. He's looked really good. AC Milan were looking at him in the summer. I think they put on a 35 million bid. I don't know what happened with that, but he looks a star for the future, so Milinkovic could be hard to come up against. Then you've got Gudai, Maximinovic, Lazovic, Ristic. Gudai, he played with Sevilla, didn't he? He plays for Sevilla right now, he does. And then you've got Tadic, we all know Tadic. Southampton, he was a player, and then he joined Ajax, and then...
that game against Real Madrid, man. Like, the wee turn they done in that game, unreal. But
it wasn't even the one game, it was a whole Champions League run of that team. Tadic, I felt, was the driving force of that, so scary.
That performance versus Real Madrid will go down as one of the legendary performances in the Champions League. And that's really saying something when you talk about the great individual performances in the Champions League. Putting him in the same bracket as them is unbelievable. So yeah, he
is a player.
And then for that,
this will hopefully be the first time that any of us have seen Scotland at a major tournament in like all our lifetime. But Serbia, like the last 2 out of 3 World Cups, like they're a mainstay for qualifying for major tournaments, so they know all about.
They've got the experience
on the national stage. And
in the last game, Milinkovic-Savic came on in the 80th minute and he scored 2. So when you've got a player like Milinkovic-Savic, you even get Milijevic when he plays with Crystal Palace, scoring, well, he's usually known for scoring set pieces, penalties, free kicks and stuff, but with players that quality, Milinkovic-Savic, Milijevic on the bench, that scares me a wee bit. If you've got that squad depth, the only way out of this, we heard about the Dusan Tadic was supposedly testing. He tested negative, and then he tested positive. No, he tested positive for COVID, and then he had another test. He tested negative. Luckily for Serbia, so I think Tadic is in the squad for this game. He's travelled to Belgrade. Who was it you were saying travelled to Belgrade as well, Kieran?
Well, obviously the Italian FA were sort of trying to clamp down on, I think it must be the worst affected regions in that in Italy. So it's like they tried to stop players for like Fiorentina and Lazio, and I think it's Inter for travelling. So that included.
You've got Juricic who plays with Sassuolo, I'm sure. You had Milinkovic who plays centre back.
Then Kolarov as well.
Kolarov. So that's 3 players that started the game against Norway. Even though Milinkovic-Savic did come on and he basically won that game for them, if that happens, Scotland are in with the best chance they're ever going to get, really. The players have called this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it is, because 22 years we've waited for this, and it's massive. It's unfortunate the fans aren't going to be there, but it's absolutely massive. So, it's a way. How do you think Serbia are going to line up against us?
I think they know that they've got a better squad than us on paper, and I think they're going to come out attacking. I mean, this game's got the potential to be a really timid affair. Like, the thing it sort of reminds me is like Championship play has to get into the Premier League. Like, it's always 2 teams that have played class all season and that, but then it's just it's not a case of they want to win. You don't want to get beat. Like, I feel like no getting beat somehow takes a mad importance in actually winning the game. But I feel Scotland know their game plan, and they know that Serbia's going to come out there and attack them. And Serbia's got ridiculous quality in their team. See, watching the highlights of their game against Norway, the way they were passing that about, they've got insane quality and going forward, and also experienced teams at the back. So it's going to be a massive ask. I mean, potentially harder than Norway could have been. And I think that's shown what they've got through, the performance they put in against them. I think they registered 9 shots on target against Norway. But I mean, I suppose you could put that down to the fact it went into extra time, but still, the attacking performance was unreal for them.
No. Norway registered 9 shots on target.
Was it?
Serbia registered 18 shots. 18 shots.
Jesus Christ.
That is scary.
We're in for.
That is that. I was quite impressed with that stat there, Liam, but Liam Kieran. But seeing that now, it's actually 18. That is scary, by the way. I think if we're up against a team with that, we're going to need to be on our A game. Game against Israel. How do you think we're done against Israel?
Well, it's the perfect example of what we were going to get under Steve Clarke, and that was going to be not very entertaining football, but as long as we get that win, that is Steve Clarke's mindset. You always expect him to play a very much more contained style of play. The way we played against Israel, I don't think we played necessarily bad. I just think teams didn't play necessarily good. I say we played the perfectly average, I think on the basis of play, when we won on penalties, I think that was our best shot because we weren't on top form that day, but we still got the win. That was the most important thing. And obviously, David Marshall being the hero for us is absolutely crucial. And again, against Israel, I mean, we can't perform like that against Serbia. With the chances we had against Israel, we need to take those against Serbia. For example, chances like McTominay's header late in the first half, I think. You need to take those chances versus Serbia, because if you don't, Serbia, with the likes of Mitrovic, Milinkovic, Savic, and Kolarov from set pieces, and if Milivojevic starts, you've got those kind of players who will punish you if you don't take your chances at the first opportunity.
Felt we were very flat-footed against Israel. There was nothing really to take from that game apart for the penalties, and turning up against a team we thought it was going to be Norway, turning up against a team, Serbia, who've overcame Norway. We're going to need to start well, and from the first 10 minutes I think we will get an idea how the game will go. Personally, I feel Serbia could take the ball and take control of the game. That's when a player like Andrej Considine will come into it. You get a Declan Gallagher who'll get stuck in, John McGinn who'll press high, he'll get stuck in as well. So it really does depend. If we want to go over to Serbia and give them the game, put the ball in their court and bring it to them, or we're going to sit back and we're going to counter with the wing backs, with the pace in midfield. It's a totally different game from Israel. You're playing up against quality. You're not playing up against 36-year-old Zahavi, who's scored how many in the last... I think he scored like 13 goals in the last 12 games. It was something stupid like that for Israel. So Israel obviously had quality, but in different ways. Whereas when all the quality Serbia pose, it's whether they turn up on their game and bring it to us. That's what's going to be the difference. If Serbia turn up with the quality they have, and we turn up with the quality we have, experience is going to come into it. And it's going to be who wants it more. So if we turn up like we did against Israel, with the quality Serbia have, we're done for. But if we turn up, Scotland are brave, we want to get here, do it for the fans, biggest game of their life, biggest game in 20 years, we'll do it. We've got the quality there.
The leadership is going to be so crucial as well for Scotland. The big names such as Andy Robertson, McGinn, McGregor, these players really need to strut their stuff in these games, because these are our key players, and these are the players who play for big clubs as well. They need to show what they can do at a national level. And as a Liverpool fan, obviously I'm happy that Andy Robertson is our captain, but I've always said, as a Scotland fan, I never thought he was the best pick to be captain of Scotland.
He's not. He's not been the same for Scotland as he has for Liverpool, whether that's down to Steve Clarke, it's not even Steve Clarke, because he played under the manager before. The best highlight I remember from Andy Robertson was, remember his goal against England, and he was still playing with Hull at this time. Remember his goal against England at Celtic Park?
Yeah.
And he ran through the whole England team and he scored, and it was like, this boy's going to do something. That's the only highlight I know from Andy Robertson playing for Scotland. He's not as attacking as I would like him to be for Scotland, whether that's down to Steve Clarke wanting him to play defensively. Andy Robertson's not a great defender. You've seen it in Trent Alexander-Arnold at the weekend. Caught the wrong side. Klopp doesn't want them playing very defensively. He's got them high-flying. They're two attacking wing-backs. That's their job. So the defensive side's not really drained into Robertson, as we know. So as a case of, if he does go defensively, you could see possibly Robertson being caught out a couple of times, because they do pose a threat. Paddy, how do you think the game will go?
A prediction for the game?
No, how do you think the game will go, just in general? We'll get on to the predictions in a wee bit.
I think us going over to Belgrade, I think you'll see us playing the five at the back, so that will just invite pressure, and that just makes for us to hit them on the break. And so the difference is, sorry to interrupt you, Paddy. The difference is, see that five at the back, it's whether that turns into a three at the back and the two push up. As I was speaking about earlier, sorry, I apologise for interrupting you, but I think it is vital whether this five at the back becomes a three at the back, or we pull back and it is a five at the back, because that is a massive difference. And we see it with Liverpool. Liam, you obviously know,
That's not a 5 at the back, that's a 3 at the back, because you have your 2 centre backs and you either have Fabinho or Jordan Henderson dropping in to give it a 3 at the back. So Paddy, what were you saying, sorry?
Well, so I was saying, if we do that, the 5 at the back, that just invites pressure and we won't possibly get a goal in the break. We are wanting just an early goal and just hold
Sit
on.
back.
Just sit back, 10 men behind the ball, just... So,
I think that
the
is
thing
the
I
dream,
feel
isn't it?
most, the thing I feel most about is we're going to go out there and we're not going to go out all guns blazing to try and get that early goal. I don't see it happening. But if we just go there, and I do think we'll end up falling back, it'll start as a 3 at the back, but we'll go back to the 5. I think it's inevitable with the quality in Serbia's team. But if they get an early goal, that just throws everything up in the air, because how do you play it? It's all about game management in games like this. And I don't know how we play it. If we go 1-0 down, do we go and chase it straight away, or do we just try and get a foothold in the game? But it's just a nightmare scenario that I hope doesn't happen. But
Steve Clark's had
enough to know.
Steve Clark's had enough time to go through all these game management scenarios. He should have it already. Every single scoreline possible, he should have a scenario ready, and he should have it all down to the finest detail, because we can't afford any slip-ups. Even if we do go 1-0, 2-0 down, personally, I think we've got the quality to come back, because we can match. I think we can match anybody. Obviously, like Belgium, Belgium are a different level of second best, and they did hand us their arse. But with the likes of Serbia, I don't think they're very much better than Scotland. Maybe 5 years ago I would have said, nah, we're done for. But see now, seen it recently, but we're a better side, unbeaten in 8.
I think it's just an inherent
what's
sort of like being confident in the squad, to be honest. Like, I think it's just been ingrained in especially the generation for the past however many years, that we just don't have that expectation in Scotland. We've just grown used to disappointment, but now we've actually been handed a team that's capable and one game away for an actual tournament. I mean, it's just unknown waters, man. We don't know what's happening.
And you even see Hampden Park, like, I've been working at Hampden Park for the last couple of years. When do you ever see a packed out ground? The only game that was sold out was the Israel game, was the England game, because we know you're going to get a performance for these games, and you know it's the biggest game. Games against the likes of Belgium, usually that would be like everybody, we'll go and see them. The Belgium stadium was half empty. It's a 50,000 stadium. So it shows you there isn't an expectation there for Scotland. It's not the same with your Celtics or Rangers, where we want to go and see our team because we can match the big players when we bring an atmosphere. It's not the same. So it will depend. Obviously, there's no fans there. That could be a massive part for Scotland. It really is. Who turns up in the day? So you were talking about confidence, Kieran. We'll start with you. Predictions. Are you confident?
If I'm confident, it's a quiet confident, because I'm very wary about how Serbia could do damage. But at the same time, you've got to be confident in your biggest game. You don't want to go into it negative. You've got to just hope that if we're going to win, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a scrappy game. But I think we'll edge it 1-0. If we don't, it'll be another trip to penalties. But hopefully we're coming out in the better end of it. But as I was talking about earlier, but this is going to be the biggest ask at every player in that starting 11. It's going to be, there's no room for passengers in this game, no room for any of them. It's nobody top of their game. Everybody, it's going to be a big defensive commitment for this game, and everybody's got to be willing to put the work in 100% the full game. And anything less, they can get off and get somebody else on.
Get tough up. They really can get tough up, because I'm not having it. We've been let down far too many times as Scotland fans, haven't we? And it's getting to the point when you're seeing Craig Levine, oh my God, playing 0 up front in a game against Czech Republic, chance of qualifying for the World Cup, wasn't it? And he goes and plays 0 strikers. We've been let down far too much. So Steve Clark needs to get this right, and it's a big opportunity, because we had a lot of fans falling out with Steve Clark after we get hammered off Belgium, after we get beat off Russia, and he's turned it round. Hats off to him, he has turned it round, and he's got his core in the squad now. It's up to him now how he works it, because it's all down to the players, all down to that manager. So, Kieran, what's your prediction, your score prediction?
I'll go with 1-0 Scotland, but
Aye.
it's a hopeful one, but
Aye.
hopefully we can do it.
Liam, what about you?
I think I'm in kind of the same mindset as Kieran. My confidence is a quiet confidence. Serbia, we know, we've discussed, have got fantastic quality, and this is the first time in a while where I have confidence in a Scotland team we can actually beat a quality side. Because I look at this starting 11 that we've all done, and it's a good starting 11. It's not you're thinking, oh, there's a weak spot there. It's actually a very good base of a team. And if I was to go with a prediction, this game will either go one or two ways for me. Scotland will either grind out the result, get a 1-0 or 1 on penalties, or we'll get absolutely battered. I think we'll either win 1-0 or lose like a 3-4-0. But as a confident fan, I'm going to go with a 1 on penalties.
That would be carnage, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would be absolute carnage. Paddy?
I've gone for the same as Kieran and the same thinking as Liam as well, just 1-0. As like I said before, we're not a team that scores goals. You're just going to see us grinding out, maybe get an early goal, getting maybe a goal for like a set piece, a penalty, something like that, and then just...
It should be London Dykes, doesn't it? Has to be London Dykes.
And then I think we'll just sit behind the ball and just take up to a corner flag or something. So 1-0 I'm going for.
Oh, how good would it be if there was a last minute winner in a game like
Oh,
this?
sorry, man.
Oh,
That'd be brilliant.
how good would it be?
Andy Robertson
Last minute
screamer. Oh, mate, I would go mental.
What a
We
win.
get a free kick, man. Get a free kick to take us through the Euros, man.
Aye, then they go up the other end and score. Don't do that to me again.
Oh,
I
no.
can't go through it. I can't go through that again.
As long as Armstrong's going the park, man.
That's your player, by the way. I don't know what you're saying. Well, he's not your player anymore, but he was at the time. I'll go with... I don't know, man. I'll go with a 2-1 Scotland win. I think Serbia will go ahead. Nah, that definitely won't happen, actually.
No, I don't think it's 2 goals behind. But
No, I still say a 2-1 win, but I think we'll go a goal ahead and then they'll come back and then we'll score again. I can see Griffiths scoring. Griffiths is on fire, trust me. Griffiths is on fire. And
Well,
London Dykes.
Unreal.
London Dykes will score as well. Just personally, I'm going to... If I get this right, you're all me a fiver, right? You're all me a five. When all the pubs open, right? That's the deal, in fact. Whoever gets the prediction right, we all a pint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go with a 3-0
Agreed.
Serbia win, right? I'll go with 3-0. No, as you said, Liam, it will go that way. Either Scotland will get absolutely hammered, get their arse handed to them, a 3-0 thing, and everybody will come away with their heads down and fuck, here we go, Scotland again. Or it will be grinded out, and it's never going to be a 2-0, 3-0 win for Scotland. We can take that out of the equation straight away. So it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a game, as I keep saying, keep repeating. It's up to the players, whoever turns up on the day. We've got the quality there. We need the aggression. We need the commitment. So, aye. So that's all for us today. Please do us a big favour. Drop a subscription down below. It only takes 2 seconds. Just click the button. Drop us a like as well whilst you're at it. And comment what you think we should do for the next couple of videos. Comment as well how you think we've done today and in previous videos. And until then, thank you from me. Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Kieran. Thank you, Paddy, for joining us today. Say goodbye from me.
See you after.
See you after.